You're so fine. Yeah, that took me a second longer than I meant to have it happen. But anyway, happy Friday. The weekend is just about here. I hope you all are having a good morning or afternoon or evening, depending on where you are in the world. But, I'm happy it's Friday. Sorry, Thomas Cleaver, I know it's Saturday morning for you. But, for me, it's Friday. Thank God it's Friday. Friday. Thank God it's Friday. Yeah. Anyone old enough to remember that? I'm sure a few of you are. Anyway, happy to be here. The name of the stream is the smallest part of the show today because I have one article about it, but I'm just dumbfounded at this just fascination with a bug that only shows up every 17 years. And so that'll be the first story. But I got notice the last few days of the show, I've just had tons of tabs open just because I'm trying to, I'm trying to get some feedback on this too, because do you like it when I give you more news and less detail or more detail and less news? A lot of it's all related. So I have it all grouped in, by what the topic is. Just let me know sometime in the chat or not in the chat, excuse me. Let me know in the comment section sometime if you like the change. I don't even know if you even noticed it. But anyway, so after the intro, we'll get into that and a whole bunch more. Play the intro, Johnny, please. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, PDawg Knight. Okay, stop the music. Is it just me, or was that intro super, super, super quiet? I noticed on the monitor here it was barely going, and I don't know what the hell is going on with that, Let's see, look at my outputs, all look normal. That one's right, that one's right, that one's right. Well, I don't know. You'll have to tell me. Anyway, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as Dawg Knight on the internet, and welcome back to the Dawg Knight Channel. It is Friday, the 21st of May, 2021, for those of us who live in the States and this side of the hemisphere or this side of the planet, whatever. And if you're from another side of the planet, good morning to you too, because it's the morning there or even there, something. I don't know, whatever time it is. Hey, how you doing? And real quick, it looks like we already have a sponsor. That's fantastic. I'm needing the sponsors more than you'll ever know, so I appreciate people doing that. Good morning, and thank you, Don Kedick, who also, I'll just give you a bell for being the first sponsor of the day too, who says, good morning, P-Dawg, and happy Friday. Well, happy Friday to you too, sir. I'm so glad you're here. And speaking of which, I'm glad all of you are here, and I'm so happy about that I'm going to say good morning to everybody. Now, the early birds today were Keenan and Tales of Gore. Tales of Gore, if you're back, I hope everything's okay. The message has me concerned, just FYI, but I hope you're doing okay. First in the chat today, though, after the show started up, after the stream kicked in or whatever, is Black Hebrew Israelite, who gets the bell.
That's right.
And thank you for being here. Be the first one here today. Good morning, sir. Also, good morning to Gunfox61, our ever-loving, ever-present administrator of the Discord of the Dawg Knight Channel. Also, good morning. Oh, Gunfox was here, but he's going to be at the track. I'm not sure which race is coming on this weekend, but if you go to our Discord, Gunny will send you pictures from the track that he's watching a NASCAR race today. So fantastic. Also, good morning to Jonathan Peterson. How you doing? Select the boys in the house.
Yeah, boy.
Also, good morning, Renee Mayette. Let's see, I'm scrolling, guys. Avocados Diablo, the Devil's Advocate. Mike Savage, Blarg. Also, good morning to Always Lost and Nothing Else, a.k.a. Alone Tonight. I've always got by on my own. I'm not gonna sing the rest of this song. Good morning, Thomas Cleaver, who says first, but you're Well, you're in the ballpark. You're in the top 10. Also, good morning, Attack Alpaca. It says hello to P-Dawg in chat. Also, good morning to Atheist Icon, T-Ball, Paul Farrell, Somnambule Nation, Renee Mayette. I already said Renee, didn't I? I think I did. Well, I'm saying it again because that's what I do sometimes. Also, good morning to Willet Forge, Assassin of the Gray, who's always dropping the stream across the discords, and anyone else who's out there lurking, working, driving, and thriving. Thank you for being here. Do not endanger yourself by forcing yourself to look at the screen. And so anyway, 27 people in here, 14 likes. Hit the like button if you like what we do. You'll figure it out during the show, and I'll remind you often. And I will also remind you to, if you be so kind, share the stream. That's what the pin thing up there is. Share the stream. That's the best way you can sponsor the show. Money doesn't hurt, but sharing the stream helps a lot too. Also, if you're watching on replay, put a comment in the comment section as you go along and tell us what you think. Also, a couple people just showing up. Lord Stanhope, what's happening? People's Front of Canada, what the hell up? And Asan is in the house. Nice to see y'all. And people slowly but surely just filing in like people going into the Capitol building through the velvet ropes. I could get in trouble for that. Anyway, I do have the cup of reparations coffee in hand. I'm rocking the Resist Fauci cup. You can get that at PDawgKnight.live in the merch tab if you want one of those. And other Resist Faucism merch. That's all I have in my merch store, unless you're going to my Teespring store. Then I have some it's still the old 2020 FFS stuff. I haven't changed that one over, but we'll get to that. I'm thinking a lot about merch, and my daughter, who's very artistic, is thinking about putting some stuff together. I have the face logo that she made me a cup, just the P-Dawg-Knight on one side and my face, but I don't know if people want my face in their cupboard. I mean, that's just weird. Anyway. So let's get into the show. So the reason I named the show what I named it was because of a tweet I saw from the Today Show, NBC Today Show. And we've been hearing a lot about this 17-year itch, also known as the cicadas, and the cicada animals, bugs, whatever. And so the Today Show tweeted this out because they're trying to make this thing. Gourmet grub. The brood X cicadas are now the buzziest food trend. And I'm like, oh, fantastic. So anyway, they put out this article and it has some pictures along with it. So I'm going to show you it because it's just fan-fucking-tastic. Hello, Anna Lynn. Gourmet grub. The brood X cicadas are now the buzziest food trend, annoying pest or tasty treat. People are cooking up cicadas in elaborate recipes. Now, I know people are probably weirded out by eating bugs, just the idea of eating these nasty looking bugs. You know, I mean, this is something that's done in foreign countries and things. And, you know, I just think that maybe you could consider it. Oh my goodness. Good morning, Canon Hotep with the big 4-0. And Canon Hotep, by the way,
you are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day.
Thank you for sponsoring the show. Goodness gracious. I appreciate the 40 ball. That's awesome. And you got the little, see that anyone who ends up doing the donor of the day ends up with the little K-pop girl dancing, trying to make me like K-pop. I just, you know, dude, thank you so much. Very, very much appreciated. Very generous of you. So anyway, back to these cicadas that you're probably, if you live on the East Coast, especially right now, because there's one type of cicada, these particular, that this is every 17 years they come up, right? They come up, they like bunnies, you know, because we read about that story yesterday. There's some hormone that causes some kind of a a drug reaction to it that make them just go at it, and that's so hard that their genitals fall off. That was in the story yesterday. If you weren't here yesterday, you know what if you were here yesterday, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, but now we're also talking about how we can eat them, because they become apparently a specialty delicacy. And And so here we go. The brood X cicadas are already starting to emerge. And while some people are bracing for their loud mating sounds, yeah, they're really noisy too. I remember, okay, I'm getting off track here, but that's okay. So I used to go on a bicycle tour every year called Ragbri. So it registers annual bicycle ride across Iowa. It's about, anywhere from 450 to 550 mile bike ride that they do every year with a different route every year. And you start at the Missouri River, and then you ride all the way across Iowa over 7 days and end up in the Mississippi River. So you start with your back tire in the Missouri River, and you end with your front tire in the Mississippi River. And so I used to go on that every year for about 4 years in a row. And one year was the year that the cicadas were out. And when we got to, I believe it was Burlington, Iowa. Okay, and Burlington, Iowa. We get to Burlington, Iowa, and it was just after the cicadas came out. And it was just at the point, because they only live for a few days, and they mate. The larva burrows and then the cicadas all die. And so when we get into Burlington, Iowa, the platform where because we ended up in this kind of a train station that's along the river, so you could put your front tire in the river, in the Mississippi River, and they were just blanketed. The whole thing was blanketed with all these dead cicadas. And so you're like, riding your bike, you're rolling your tire and you're crunching through all the cicadas anyway. They're everywhere. So if you're on the East Coast, you're about to deal with that, right? Well, apparently chefs like Joseph Yoon, who runs the educational website and social media channel Brooklyn Bugs, have been busy preparing taste treats such as cicada nymph salad, guacamole, or even kimchi. It's not a joke, but rather an elevated form of cooking that utilizes the oft overlooked source of protein, insects. And there's a picture. Now, here's the thing. I have eaten insects in the past. There was, for whatever reason, when I was a kid, there was a big thing about having chocolate-covered grasshoppers, and my dad was like, "Okay, we're just gonna try it, okay?" Because there was chocolate-covered grasshoppers, literally cooked grasshoppers that they covered in chocolate, and you ate them. And it was so weird just even thinking about eating it, but we tried it. Didn't kill me. It was all right. And if you're trying to survive in the wild sometime, out like what's that show where they send two guys out and they show their survival skills, right? And they basically get one item. One guy has a knife. One guy has, I don't know. They go out and show their survival. If you had to do this for survival skills, I suppose you could do it. But look at this. It'd be interesting if you did some candied cicadas. I don't know. And then, so anyway, the story goes on. According to the New York Post, Yoon has already made dozens of dishes with the cicada nymphs he's collected and plans to keep creating dishes that encompass every part of the life cycle of the brood X bug. Now, here's the problem, especially with this particular bug. If you were relying on this particular bug for protein, well, you'd have to catch a ton and freeze them like for a long time, because these only come around every 17 years. So I'm okay. So I suppose this is going to be a delicacy for about another 3 months here. Anyway, so then he also has got, what's this? Brood cicada. Oh, okay, so this is just, this is him how to make cicada chili guacamole. When I'm eating guacamole, I don't expect to have a whole lot of crunch in there. Maybe from the onion a little bit, but if I'm eating guacamole, I'm just not wanting any crunch. I'm sorry. It's just too weird. So anyway, and then let's see. And then, oh gosh, here, let's do this. I'm going to play this without sound. Let's see if I can.
I met with my friend,
where's
Dr. Jessica Ware,
okay,
from the American Museum.
Apparently you can't turn the sound off. Okay.
Natural history.
It's hard enough you're making guacamole and it's already green, and then you got to put some bugs in it.
To collect cicada nymphs to prepare a wide assortment of dishes for you. The first dish I'd like to share
dude,
is
that's just
chili
wrong.
guacamole with the beautiful 17-year-old nymphs from Brood X.
Okay, just stop. Anyway, there's other pictures. Here's some sauteed cicada. Oh, wait a minute. Ferranzo fries cicadas up in a little sesame oil with garlic and chilies and washes them down with a cold beer. Get your forks out, peoples. And I thought there was another. All right. So anyway, okay. Here we go. Here's our question regarding this story. And then after this story, I'm just going to fly through everything else because there's so much that I have here. Here's the question of the day. And just type yes or hell no. I don't even think I have to answer the question. So, all right, let's all right. Anyways, thank you, Thomas Cleaver, by the way, who is also a sponsor of the show. I appreciate you. And who says, point of perfect personal privilege. It's not cicada. It's more like cicada. You're not lying. Okay, it's just I mean, if you want to be trendy. Oh, here's another one. This was who's like spicy food.
I know it's technically.
Oh no, that's the same stuff. Oh, here we go. Okay, no. I don't want that sound. Okay, it's not working. Anyway, real quick, good morning to people who've also just joined us, including Tax AG 007, Reese Donalds, how you doing? Patrice Ripley, our official PDawgKnight.live K-pop aficionado. John Smith, say hi to Elizabeth Warren for me. Zablaze in the house, nice to see you. I believe I said Lord Stanhope before, but I'm going to say it again just in case I missed you. And MC's in the house.
Hammer time.
What's happened, my friend? Also, T-Ball. I said T-Ball earlier, and I think I got y'all, but if I didn't, I'll figure it out and probably say hi during the show. Atheist Icon, also, how you doing? All right, enough about the bug salad. Now, yesterday I was telling you about how Nancy Pelosi was talking about boycotting the Beijing Winter Olympic Games due to the issue with the Uyghurs. And now there's also some Republicans. So this is a bipartisan thing. This week, congressional leaders called to boycott the 2022 Winter Olympics if they will be held in Beijing, where they are currently scheduled. The ongoing genocide against Uyghurs in China is behind the boycott calls. Representative Chris Smith, a Republican from New Jersey, co-chair of the Tom Lantos Human Rights Commission, said in a hearing of the commission Tuesday, quote, "In granting Beijing host status for the Olympic Games, we are crowning a barbarous regime with laurels while we should be condemning their abuse and genocide." Smith urged the International Olympic Committee to find a new host city for the Olympic Games. In light of what is known and in solidarity with the oppressed and not the oppressor, in solidarity with the victims, not the victimizer, I urge the IOC and all interested parties, including the United States, to find a new host city or boycott, added Smith. Smith does not want corporations pouring money to enable or sponsor the genocide Olympics. Well, aren't they a little late with that? I mean, Apple, Nike, they all, what they do. Good morning, W.R. Costin. Nice to see you. All right, moving on. We got, good news. So apparently Joe Biden has we were talking about how the Biden administration was trying to get private firms to, spy on people and shit. Well, now there's another story out that they are using private firms to surveil service members' social media accounts for concerning behavior, according to a report. I gotta tell you, if you saw the ad, right? I don't know, maybe you haven't seen it. I have it in the bookmarks today. The ad for, army recruiting ad, My Two Moms cartoon, whatever, and then they compared it against the Russian one. If they're monitoring people's with, they're trying to recruit with the pronouns and all that shit, I don't care. Well, no, I care. That's not right. That's against the Fourth Amendment. And I don't think they should. But anyway, President Biden's administration is reportedly preparing to contract with private firms to surveil the social media accounts of service members to weed out those with views that the administration deems concerning. Isn't that special? Here's from The Intercept. The Extremism Steering Committee, led by Bishop Garrison, a senior advisor of the Secretary of Defense, is currently designing a social media screening pilot program which will continuously monitor military personnel for concerning behaviors, according to the Pentagon briefing late March. Although in the past, the military has balked at surveilling service members for extremist political views due to the First Amendment protections, the pilot program will rely on private surveillance firms in order to circumvent the First Amendment restrictions on government monitoring, according to a senior Pentagon official. So somebody at the Pentagon actually said those words. There is a name for that. Who can tell me the name for that? Do we get any yes and no or hell no's on the bug thing? I don't. I didn't. I forgot to. I forgot to look. Yes on the bugs or no on the eat the bugs, bigot. MC's just lurking this morning. I did eating squirrels. Squirrel though actually is an animal that has fur that you strip off and the meat you eat, and it tastes like chicken. Literally, I've eaten the squirrel. People hunt squirrels and used to eat them. They literally taste like the dark meat in chicken. So what are you gonna do? That's a mammal. These are bugs, insects, and I know people eat insects around the world, but most people who eat insects because they have to, not because they necessarily want to. Anyway. I'm gonna pass. Although, like I said, I have had chocolate covered grasshoppers. I kind of remember they were not terrible, but it was still weird eating a crunchy bug under a piece of chocolate. So I don't know. Okay, did not see it. Okay. Oh, Francis Barrett's here. How you doing? W.R. Costin. If I missed anybody, I'm sure I missed some people. Teresa the Kid, what's up? Enziker, nice to see you. And Annalyn, hi again. And why are you so angry? Which is a person, not a question. All right. So anyway, this is. Oh, did anyone name what this is with the government contracting with private firms to surveil citizens, be they soldiers or whatever? There's a name for that. Starts with an F and ends with an ism, and doesn't have a Fauci in the middle. Just FYI. All right, next. The Postal Service. The Postal Service apparently has an Internet Covert Operations Program. And it has a much broader scope than previously known. So this was something that came out of, I want to say, Yahoo News. Yeah, it was Yahoo. So last month, Yahoo's ripped the lid off a government surveillance program run by a division of the United States Postal Service. Good morning, Mood-Based Radio. The program monitors, scans, and collects information on social media postings considered inflammatory enough to pass along to other government agencies. Again, now they have a quasi-governmental agency out there spying on people's social media. This is getting a little concerning. Anybody else feel a little concerned about this? Yes, everyone's got the fashion. Oh, rattlesnakes. Someone's talking about eating a rattlesnake too. Yep. I've eaten a rattlesnake too. In fact, our state fair used to be able to get rattlesnake. I know there's a booth at our state fair where you can get, they sell alligator. Alligator's pretty good. Again, also tastes like chicken. All these reptiles they eat kind of taste like chicken. But yeah, no, there's all kinds of things that taste like chicken. Or you cook it like chicken, like the rattlesnake. It's or not rattlesnake. Excuse me. The alligator they sell is basically like alligator fingers. Like you make chicken fingers. Well, they make alligator fingers, and that was really tasty. All right. So this program where they're spying on people's social media, this is sick, man. This is sick. So here's from the Yahoo article. It was analysts with the United States Postal Inspection Service Internet Covert Operations Program, ICOP, monitored significant activity regarding planned protests occurring internationally and domestically on March 20, 2021. says the March 16th federal government bulletin, marked as law enforcement sensitive and distributed through the Department of Homeland Security's fusion centers. Location and times have been identified for these protests, which are being distributed across multiple social media platforms, include right-wing leading Parler and Telegram accounts. No intelligence is available to suggest the legitimacy of these threats. The bulletin notes includes screenshots of posts of the protests from Facebook, Parler, Telegram, and other social media sites. Individuals mentioned by name include one alleged Proud Boy and several others whose identifying details were included, but whose posts did not appear to contain anything threatening. They're creating enemies lists by using private companies and semi-quasi governmental agencies, aka the Postal Service, to spy on people. It's really concerning. So Representative Nancy Mace tweets, USPS can barely deliver the mail adequately and manages to lose $5 billion a year, yet they apparently have the time and money to run a spy ring. Right to Representative Mace. Exactly. So if you want to read the rest of that article, again, oh, by the way, a reminder, every time I do this show, every article, every link I mentioned will be in a single link in the description down below. Immediately after show, I post that or update that in the description, and also I'll put it in the chat and on the Discord server with the show link. If you're interested in come back and follow these up. I also, in this one, I have the original Yahoo post from April 21st with the original information. So there you go. In the New York Post this yesterday, just an article how the rich and powerful thrived while the rest of us suffered in the year of lockdowns. I'm not going to get into this too much, but it just talks about how interesting how all the rich got richer. Particularly, that the guy who owns the Washington Post. So I'm sure that the Washington Post has been super critical of the guy who has the little smile boxes, right? Anyway, just so the main thrust of this, the pandemic saw a huge amount of power and money transferred from what Michael Lynn calls the overclass of politicians, corporate managers, and bureaucrats. Small businesses shut down while big box stores deemed essential remained open. The laptop class worked from home to the delight of many of its members, while the working class brought them stuff. Federal money flowed like water to the connected. The national debt went from scandalous to essentially absurd in an amount of money that no one expects to be repaid. The Chinese Communist Party used the threat of the pandemic and lockdowns to crush a rebellion from Hong Kong. The American powers that be did something similar. People who demonstrated for the wrong causes were called granny killers and shut down. And shut down. People who demonstrated for overclass-approved causes like the New York Black Trans Lives Matter rally featuring thousands and endorsed by Mayor Bill de Blasio, even as he welded the gates of a Jewish park closed, received letters of support from public health people who assured us that racism is a bigger public health problem than COVID, even though they used COVID as an excuse to remake American society. You get the gist of this editorial, and it's absolutely worth the read. Check it out. And again, it'll be in the single link that has all these stories listed by hyperlink. Moving on. For the American Thinker, speaking of Dr. Fauci, or Stupid 19 or whatever. So remember, I don't know if you were here, it was a few weeks ago, we were talking about how there are a number of physicians who have been complaining that this is like one of those rare diseases that we've seen where there's no guidance from the CDC or the National Institute of Health on how to treat the disease, right? Now, you know that there have been, yes, Black Trans Special K. It was a big rally just for Black Trans Lives Matter in New York City. Couple months back, and during the lockdowns, right? Or was it last year? Might have been last year. Anyway, it was during the lockdowns, and it was literally a rally for Black Trans Lives Matter. and Mayor de Blasio just thought it was great, even though we were supposed to have nobody out in the streets. All these people are, no social distancing. Most people wearing masks, but not everybody. But it was just fine because this was a Black Trans Lives Matter rally. And, so those type of rallies, because it's kind of like, okay, let me go back a little bit. You know how during the pandemic, the very few restaurants that were open, that they would require you to wear a mask as you walked in the door, right? And when you walked in the door, you probably go through a little foyer and whatnot, and then you come in. And the reason you have to wear a mask when you walk into the restaurant is because there's a lot of COVID in that foyer, right? And also, as you're standing and talking to the hostess, there's COVID there, and they take your phone number or whatever, but the mask will protect you and the hostess from COVID because they're all wearing masks. And then they take you to your table. Now, whether you're sitting at a table or a booth, there's an invisible shield all around that table that when you decide to take a sip of your water that they drop off before they bring you your drinks, you can take off your mask and sit at that table, no problem, because there's an invisible shield that protected you from all the COVID. And then, but if you have to pee, or the other side, then you have to put a mask on, because when you're walking from your table that you've had your mask off the entire time you're eating and drinking and whatnot, you have to put a mask on, because every little corridor that you walk through between tables, the invisible shields don't protect you there. So you walk through the restaurant, you have to have a mask on. And then as you go back into the hallway that goes to the bathrooms, that is the worst place, because you have to wear the mask, because that's where all the COVID is. And so you had to go back there, and then you do your business, and then you come back, and as you're walking back, you still have to have the mask on, because between the invisible shields and corridors, and then you get back to your table, but that's where the invisible shield is. So you can take your mask off and have your mask off the whole time you're eating, no problem. It's just is what it is. And then, but when you get done eating, you have to go put the mask on so that you can walk through between the corridors and walk out the door before you can take your mask off. That's kind of the same thing with the Black Trans Lives Matter rally. It has, you have that rally, and you can have thousands and thousands of people out there because that's where the magic COVID shields are. And so they had it. That's why they had it in that particular plaza, because they had the magic anti-COVID invisible shields. And so it didn't matter if all those people were together. And for whatever reason, when you say the words in succession, Black Trans Lives Matter, that protects you from COVID. And so the mayor of New York, who was being really kind of draconian with you can't even leave your house, that's why he was fine with the Black Trans Lives Matter rally. Did I clear that up? Good. All right, let's keep going. Let's go back to our story. So apparently, I was talking about the doctors, a lot of doctors out there and were complaining that, we don't have any protocols for treating this. Well, apparently this ivermectin is a drug that some doctors were using to treat people with COVID and stupid 19. Dr. Pierre Corey and his colleagues, the Frontline COVID Critical Care Alliance, are leading an effort to assess the effectiveness of ivermectin as a prophylactic against and treatment for stupid 19, and to communicate to the public the mounting evidence of its efficacy. Ivermectin is well known as an antiparasitic, and millions of doses are distributed annually in complete safety. Corey recently published 2 papers. The first, in the May-June issue of a peer-reviewed American Journal of Therapeutics, is review of the emerging evidence demonstrating the efficacy of ivermectin and the prophylaxis and treatment of COVID-19. I know I said that really fast. I'm going to open that. That'll be in the tabs too, that study. I think, well, let's see if it pops up. At least it gives you the abstract portion. Oh, this gives you most of it. Oh, good. When is this from? What's the date on this? I don't see a date. May, June 2021. Oh, I see. This is it's the current issue. Okay, fantastic. Anyway, so there's growing evidence that this is actually a good a good treatment. Meta-analysis based on 18 randomized controlled treatment trials of ivermectin and stupid-19 have found large statistically significant reductions in mortality, time to clinical recovery, and time to viral clearance. Furthermore, results from numerous controlled prophylaxis trials report significantly reduced risk of contracting stupid-19 with regular use of ivermectin. Finally, the many examples of ivermectin distribution campaigns leading to rapid population-wide decreases in morbidity and mortality indicate that an oral agent effective in all phases of stupid-19 has been identified. Wow, that you would think that'd be huge in international news, right? Well, I don't know. Also, a second paper. Let's see what this one is. This one's from the FLCCC Alliance. Okay, that's where that guy's from. Anyway, so these are treatments that no one seems to be talking about, and particularly Dr. Fauci. Maybe these will get some play now that supposedly the stupid-19 seems to be at bay. Let's see. The only way to be safe from stupid-19 is to dive into a vat of liquid latex. Make sure you are entirely covered and let it harden. Yeah, exactly. I don't think they want a treatment for this. There's something about this that just makes them say they don't really care about you. Agreed. Okay. All right. Oh, they lost this page. What the hell happened? I'm not even sure which article that was, but it's gone now. Okay. Well, so much for that article. All right, moving on. Everything you need. Oh, so now I'm going to get into the Israel section. I haven't talked much about Israel, but I've got a number of articles that, basically. Now, granted, I'm one-sided. You know what? I'm of the belief that. Oh shoot, am I allowed to say this on YouTube though? I'm just saying, if someone just walks up, or even someone you don't like walks up and punches you in the mouth, I have no problem knocking them the fuck out. That's called an analogy. I'm just saying. Everything you need to know about the escalation in Israel is a front page article, and this is actually a message from the state of Israel with their discussing their rationale for why they counterattack, because they're attacked first, and then they counterattack, and they're better at it, so then they get blamed for everything because they're better. It's every time. I don't think I could ever think of a single time that, and regardless of what you think of the state of Israel, I don't think we should give them foreign aid at all. I don't. If they're a very wealthy nation, they should be able to buy anything they want, and I'm fine with if we sell them weapons and shit. But I'm not a big fan of foreign aid anyway. However, they've been attacked. They're allowed to fight back, right? So this is a question and answer. Everything you need to know about the latest escalation in Israel. Why did this all start? Massive rocket attacks from Gaza that began on 10th of May came after weeks of Palestinian terrorism, rockets and incendiary balloons launched from the Gaza Strip, massive riots and other attacks against Jewish civilians in Jerusalem. Although Palestinians and their supporters have tried to justify these violent acts by linking them to a variety of Israeli actions, in fact, they are the result of Palestinian plans made in accordance to Palestinian interests, often based on internal Palestinian struggles and on Palestinian goals. The Palestinian Authority is trying to divert attention away from its own decision to postpone elections, thereby deflecting any potential criticism. Hamas is attempting to strengthen its position both in the eyes of the Palestinian population and the Muslim world by igniting violence and unrest, all the while trying to claim the role of Jerusalem's defender because, the United States recognizes Jerusalem as the capital. This escalation was directly caused by Palestinian incitement. The Palestinian leadership has been deliberately and publicly inciting violence over the past several weeks with the Hamas terrorist organization, in particular exploiting the sensitive national sentiments during the Ramadan period to stoke tensions. This goes on. Here's what I'm going to say. I read this. This is interesting hearing their side of the story, and maybe perhaps the other side will do the same, but it's pretty detailed on what they have chosen their role. The basic thing is, and the one I wanted to tune though, the how they end this, talking about the role the international community can play. The international community can play an important role in both ending the current crisis and preventing future ones. First and primary task is to communicate to Hamas that terrorism will not be tolerated, let alone rewarded, as long as this internationally recognized terrorist organization believes that it stands to gain from the violence. Rockets will continue to rain down on towns and cities, forcing Israel to respond. Hamas has a long history of creating the same scenario. It designs a situation that leaves Israel with no choice but to react, deliberately places Gaza's civilian population and infrastructure in harm's way, then reaps the rewards by claiming victim status. The importance of not falling into Hamas's trap cannot be overstated. World leaders who support Israel in its fight against terrorism are not lacking in compassion towards Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. Rather, they are acknowledging the reality of the situation. Hamas instigated this conflict with no concern for civilian life on either side of the border, and with the expectation that it can exploit Palestinian suffering to delegitimize the state of Israel. Suffering on both sides will most quickly be alleviated by focusing the blame on those responsible for starting and perpetuating the violence while denying Hamas its objectives. So, there's a lot more detail in this, and I certainly encourage you to read it. Again, this is the front page article. This is not written by anyone at Front Page. This is actually from, here it is. Below, the Front Page is running a message directly from the Israeli government press office aimed to counter the sea of leftist propaganda about the conflict we are now witnessing in Israel. The message contains common questions with answers provided, including what role the international community can play in ending the current crisis and preventing future ones. So, interesting read. And again, it doesn't matter really which side of this you're on, but again, if someone comes up and punches me in the mouth, I'm going to knock them the fuck out. And again, that's an analogy. Now, there's interesting because Joe Biden chimed in on this the other day. And according to the New York Post, Biden's pressure on Bibi contradicts his own words and endangers Israel. Despite public comments about backing the Jewish state's right to defend itself and blocking of a UN resolution demanding a ceasefire, Biden, in a call Wednesday, conveyed to Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that he expected a significant de-escalation today on the path to a ceasefire, according to a spokeswoman, Karine Jean-Pierre. Now, it's interesting because Biden seems to think that he can demand what Israel does and doesn't do. And I think Bibi that Bibi being Bibi Netanyahu, kind of told him, well, your words are under advisement, but we're still going to take care of our business here. It's clear that it was a clear sign, though, that the president's eagerly looking to appease far left Democrats and the global diplomatic establishment who are naive, hypocritical in holding Israel to an impossible standard or downright anti-Semitic. To protect itself and deter future strikes, the Jewish state needs to inflict a sufficient price for Hamas's unilateral attacks and drastically weaken, if not eliminate, its ability to attack again. But they keep getting more rockets from Iran. It's interesting. The other thing about this, though, is they have all this money for rockets, but weren't they just complaining not even a few months ago that they weren't, or not a few weeks ago, they weren't getting enough medicine and shit for COVID, but now they bought all these rockets. They're fine. I mean, over 10,000 rockets they've fired in this latest conflict. 10,000 rockets into civilian areas. Now, fortunately, at least for Israel, I mean, Israel's Iron Dome system works pretty damn good and basically shoots the rockets right out of the sky. And so I don't know. Also, there's a big wave of anti-Semitic hate in Los Angeles and other parts of the world. There's all sorts of videos if you go on Twitter of apparently it's, you know, so we were talking about the anti-Asian hate, right? And so, you know, the Black Lives Matter thing was a thing. And then, you know, they made a big deal about the anti-Asian hate. And so then you saw some hashtags, Asian Lives Matter. What's weird is, though, you know, there's all these attacks now, and you know, the anti-Semitic the number one victim as a class of hate crimes are Jewish people, and particularly in New York and on the coast, right? Because all the coasts are, well, I don't want to say they're anti-Semitic, but there's issues, right? But I don't see, I haven't seen it yet. Maybe it'll pop up. I haven't seen the hashtag Jewish Lives Matter thing. Anyway, in 2019, hate crimes in Los Angeles County against black people fell 13%. Hate crimes against gays fell 22%. Hate crimes against Mexicans fell 9%, while hate crimes against Jews rose 18%. 89% of anti-religious hate crimes targeted Jews. Only 7% affected Muslims. If you listen to the media, though, you'd get the opposite impression, with coverage that ignored anti-Semitism to focus on racism, homophobia, and Islamophobia. A typical example of what they were ignoring was a Jewish community center getting a message from a man with a Middle Eastern accent that said, "I will kill every single fucking Jew," or "Jew fucking Jews." And I hope I had seen, I read that out loud, and that might end up being the end of my channel. But, and so that's what he said, right? Instead, California Democrats moved to impose the ethnic studies curriculum, which would embed the teaching of BDS and anti-Semitic tropes in the educational system. Jewish protests against this government mandated anti-Semitism were ignored. So right now, this article goes on and on about this, but the main point is, over the last few days, there have been multiple anti-Semitic attacks around Los Angeles. Let's see which I have this somewhere here. Okay, we'll find it later. That's a different thing. And I mean, just out in the open, literally people eating dinner or lunch at a restaurant outdoors, and people coming up and, you know, hitting them and shit. Don't you clip that, HP Lovecraft. Don't you now? See, that's why I stopped reading shit. Anyway, but anyway, let's get back to the government's response to some of this again. In the Jen Psaki, I was gonna call her Raggedy Ann Barbie, but anyway, acknowledges that Iran are bad actors, but doesn't condemn the anti-Israeli remarks from Democrats. Now, because there's the squad's all over this, just completely saying shit that they probably shouldn't be saying. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki admitted on Thursday that the Biden administration views Iran as bad actors, even as they try to get them to re-enter the Iran nuclear deal. Psaki also did not condemn anti-Israel remarks made by notable Democrats when pressed on the issue by a reporter. Let's see how long this clip is. I think it's only a minute long. Or it's 22 seconds. Here we go. And of course, this is the damn Daily Wire. What is wrong with them? Here, we'll have to open it up and do it on Twitter, and I'll have this link available too in the links in the, whatever it is. PDawg was just reading one of my stories. It's my fault. Oh, was that your story? Seriously? I didn't even notice. Wait, you're Daniel Greenfield? Okay. All right. Anyway, here's Jen Psaki with her nonsense.
Plan.
And then quickly on Israel, progressives in the House and Senate are hoping to block $735 million worth of weapons to Israel. Would the president ever go along with that?
Well, let me first say that the State Department oversees arms sales and any confirmation of those specific details or notifications that may have gone to Congress. So I would let them speak to that specific proposal you're asking about. I plan. And then
quickly on Israel.
Okay, that is that the right clip? I think it is. Oh yeah, and here's the other part. Oh, I see. It's a three-parter. So we'll get all three parts out here because I played that's not the one I wanted, but she also continues on. And there we go.
You touched on, the Iran nuclear deal, but, there was reporting earlier that the leader of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard said that the rocket attacks from Palestine hitting Israel was a sign of, quote, a new Palestine. I'm wondering if that type of rhetoric coming out of Iran has any effect on the president's eagerness.
Yes, that's
to
only on your right
join,
side, by the way.
The treaty, the Iran nuclear agreement, and sort of if there is any interplay between those two spheres.
Well, I think it's important to be very clear. Iran they're bad actors, and they're bad actors.
Okay, okay, good. She recognizes that.
That is very clear. That is our position. However, the president believes that it is in the best interest of the United States and in the best interest of countries in the region to have more visibility into Iran's nuclear capabilities.
I know that you touched on.
Okay, so that's some mumbo jumbo from her now, and then finally, here's where she's not going to condemn the rhetoric, though. That's what this is the one that cracks me up. And go.
Hi. I just wanted to go back to Israel really quick. So yesterday, Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez accused Israel of using American weapons to target media outlets, schools, hospitals, other sites. The other day, Congresswoman Omar called the Israeli Prime Minister an ethno-nationalist. I know you've talked about the White House's message to Democrats, but does the president specifically denounce these comments?
I think we have a responsibility here to speak about this as the issue that it is, which is a conflict that is killing people in a region, and our efforts to bring that to an end. The president doesn't see this through the prism of domestic politics. He sees this through the prism of what role the United States can play as a leader in the global community to engage in quiet, intensive diplomacy to bring an end to the suffering and the tragedy.
Okay, so in other words, let me just summarize her answer. Hang on. I need to summarize Jen Psaki's answer. Nope. There you go. All right, let's move on. A lot of these articles, I'm not going to get too deep into them, but it's a lot about the Israel-Palestinian conflict. Ilhan Omar is mad, though, because AIPAC calls her out for supporting a jihad against Israel. Facebook is getting out of line. A Representative Ilhan Omar, a Democrat from Mogadishu, is enraged instead of acting the way it usually does, dutifully carrying water for the far left. Facebook has had the temerity to allow American Israel Public Affairs Committee, AIPAC, to run an ad criticizing Omar herself. After a public career of virtually unanimous adulation for the media and fawning from her colleagues in Congress, even in the face of her repeated anti-Semitic statements, it must be jarring indeed for the winsome Congresswoman actually to face some negative feedback. I'm sure it is. I'm sorry, I should probably just put this back on the screen. Rejecting Omar's demands so far that the ad be taken down, Facebook is allowing AIPAC to run an ad reading, quote, "When Israel targets Hamas, Representative Omar calls it an act of terrorism. This outrages the soft-spoken Omar because what she actually wrote was, Israeli airstrikes killing civilians in Gaza is an act of terrorism." When you put all your shit that launches the rockets in those areas where there are civilians and they destroy the targets that are launching the rockets, and there's some collateral damage because the funny thing about this, so again, I know not everyone agrees with me on Israel, but Hamas lobs thousands and thousands of rockets into Israel towards civilian areas, and Israel shoots them out of the sky. But what Israel does before they hit a site, they warn the people exactly where they're going to strike because that's where the rockets came from. And then what they do is they hit the strike. They strike that place exactly where they say they're going to because they have laser guided missiles and all that shit. They have high technology. And yet And yet the Palestinians who are in those areas say, nope, we're not going to move anybody, even though you warned us, because we want images of dead children out because they serve our purpose. They are martyrs for the cause of Allah. It's really weird, almost kind of a death cult kind of thing, if you ask me. Just saying. So anyway, AIPAC did an anti-Omar ad because of what she says, and she's not happy about it and thinks that who knows, she's gonna call it a racist attack on her because, you know, it's just what they do. And I don't mean, when I say they, I mean cowards. Thank you, HP Lovecraft, for sponsoring the show. It says, apparently, White Boy Summer is watching the Democrats having their civil war over the Middle East situation. Yeah, you know, isn't it strange, though? It's just so weird that this wasn't happening when the guy with the funny hair was in office. I'm just saying, you know, it didn't happen when the guy with the funny hair was in office. I just can't figure out why it's happening now. I mean, our current president is certainly one of the greatest political minds and such an agile thinker and can always just so clear in his messaging and everything he says. I just, you know, he's such a great president.
You're a lying dog face pony soldier.
What? I'm what?
You're a lying dog face pony soldier.
Shut up, Joe Biden. I bet you didn't know Joe Biden was in my basement. Anyway, we're going to move on. Before I do that, good morning, Cynical Lindsay. Hello, Asian Research Directorate. Hello, Special K on Acid. And I think somebody else came in when I was flapping my lips. Kessler. What's happening, Kessler? I think I said it earlier, but that's okay. I want to make sure I say hi to everybody. How many people do we have in the house right now, Johnny? 44. Fantastic. Everyone, while you're thinking about it, hit the like button. And share the stream if you haven't done so already. Again, thank you, HP Lovecraft, for sponsoring the show. Greatly appreciate you. All right, where was I here? Let's see. I'm thinking over here. That's Omar. Okay, more on Israel though. Ted Cruz has been challenging, Senate Democrats to stand up against some of their fellow Democrats who, seem to think that the Israel's fault that all this crap is happening, and calling them terrorists and shit. And so he's challenged Senate Democrats to stand up to their left-wing colleagues, whom he said were acting as press agents for the Palestinian terrorist group Hamas by parroting its propaganda. And in particular, he criticized Majority Leader Chuck Schumer because, well, he was accusing him of avoiding taking a stand in the Mideast crisis for fear of antagonizing the left and risking a potential primary challenge from Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Now, we were talking a while back and mentioning how the realignment due to the census, where the state of New York is going to be losing, 1 or 2 seats? I can't remember if it was 1 or 2, but I know they're losing 1 for sure. And so the legislature is going to have to rewrite the congressional districts, because that's the ones that you have to especially rewrite when they do that, right? And I remember 2 years ago hearing that this was going to be a possibility, and that most of the politicians in the state of New York, regardless of AOC's popularity among the woke crowd and young, numbskulls who don't really know shit about the world, 2 years ago they were talking about how the way the politicians in New York are not all that fond of her. And so they were talking 2 years ago about how, when they do realignment and they redraw districts, they just might have to kind of draw her district out of existence. But I think she truly is so self-important that she may go for a Senate bid in the state of New York and challenge Chuck Schumer. Now, let's just be realistic. Chuck Schumer, the Senate Majority Leader. Not that it's okay. It's not that it's unprecedented, because she did get rid of a long-time congressional member when she ran in her district, right, in a little part of Brooklyn area, right. I think her chances of defeating Chuck Schumer, smarmy prick, New York, in the entire state, that's a statewide race. I don't think so. But you never know. Anyway, so Cruz says that the reason Chuck Schumer's not being critical of Israel like he normally is because he's afraid of the primary challenge from Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And he was addressing a GOP conference on the conflict of Israel and Gaza on a day when President Biden told Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on a phone call that he expected a significant de-escalation today on the path to a ceasefire. But because Joe's kind of caving to the left too. But anyway, interesting take on that though, and why Chuck Schumer's not being so forceful as to why, against Israel on this, because he's usually a very staunch Israel supporter. All right, so before I move, we're gonna move on, but before I do, thank you, Select Boy. Yeah, boy. For the 10 spot through YouTube Super Chat, who says, I don't know why the Biden administration still feels the need to call our country the leader of the global community when they want to strip everything this nation holds dear. That's yeah. They want us to be the leader of the free world, but they don't want us to be a leader anymore. They want us to follow everybody else. So anyway, thank you so much for the 10 spot through YouTube Super Chat. Appreciate you. I'm going to get off this topic in a second, but we do have is it one or two more? I can't remember. I'm not going to read this one. This is a interesting thing though right now. The Jews versus the world, and in Washington Free Beacon, I'll just give you the kind of the gist of what it's going to go into, and you can read it yourself. As a weak and sclerotic Democratic leadership cowers before anti-Israel zealotry of the Squad and its acolytes in the House of Representatives, American Jews are getting a glimpse of what the future may hold, a return to a not-so-distant past in which Jews stood alone in the face of either slaughter or survival. There are differences between now and then, of course. The Jews now have a state and an army, facts that provide a fig leaf for the new anti-Semitism now exhibited by left-wing Democrats, academics, and Jewish radicals. The old hatred has found new life in characterizing Jews as oppressors and the genocidal Hamas as victims. In a kind of provincial stupidity the left would abhor in almost any other context, the liberal elite has conflated caricatures of the Palestinian experience with that of the minority experience in the United States. Left-wing Congressman Jamal Bowman from New York and his anti-Semitism cloaked in the argot of the social justice warrior has called on Israel to stop brutalizing and murdering, quote, black and brown bodies. What's interesting is, all those Israeli Arabs that live in Israel, that live and work and whatever in peace with everyone around them and shit they don't follow the Palestinian Authority and go living in, Gaza and the West Bank and just live and breathe and work. And some of them are even in the Israeli parliament. It's amazing that it's just amazing. Even the people who describe this situation as apartheid, who is participating in that apartheid thing? Like, because the Palestinians who wanted their own areas that they gave up, Gaza and the West Bank, don't allow any Jews in their areas or something like that. And it just feels it's just a weird argument. It's such a Well, it's almost worldwide grievance grifting something. I don't know. Members of the Princeton University faculty on Tuesday released a similar statement of solidarity with the Palestinian people that rejects what they call Jewish supremacy, an inartful attempt to liken Jews to their tormentors in the Ku Klux Klan. Because, you know, the Ku Klux Klan ain't fond of no Jews either, are they? That's my impression. It's just this. It's a full court press, and nobody gives a shit about them, right? It's weird. It's just weird. It's all of a sudden, because groups that are being attacked. Again, I guess we'll watch Twitter over the next couple of weeks to see if there's a Jewish Life Matter hashtag. Doubt it. Anyway, interesting article in the Washington Free Beacon. It'll be in the link below after the show.
Let's discuss with the chairman of the House.
God. Oh, now let's get into the Capitol riots. I'm finally gonna move on from Israel after almost the whole show so far talking about it. Hello, ex-Bubba Hotep. How you doing? Nice to see you. Welcome. So Adam Schiff, let's get back to because, you know, there was the whole vote on the Capitol riot commission, right, in the House, and it did pass in the House, but with 35 Republicans also joining the Democrats saying that they want to have this commission. It's still iffy in the Senate, I got to tell you, because I got a lot of this leadership on the Democrat side in both the House and the Senate aren't really all that thrilled about this commission idea, because it's going to be taking up a lot of time on other agenda. But anyway, House Intelligence Committee Chairman Representative Adam Schiff, did I say that? I must have pronounced that wrong, said Thursday on CNN's The Situation Room, if the Senate Republicans block the House bill to establish an independent commission to investigate the January 6th Capitol riots, Democrats are going to insist on getting answers one way or another. Find you. I'm gonna get you. Anyway, but Blitzer said, is this commission dead on arrival? And then Schiff said, no, it isn't, but it's clear that Mitch McConnell and Kevin McCarthy are going to try to kill it anyway. They can. I have to say, watching that clip of Mitch McConnell saying after giving careful consideration, he decided to oppose it, that careful consideration was no more than reading Donald Trump's statement saying you need to oppose this. Well, yeah, not so fast. Wait, what happened here? This is not in order anymore. I must have actually... I had... Well, shoot. Apparently, I must not have. Well, anyway, the bottom line, there's several people in the leadership of the House and Senate on the Democrat side that aren't thrilled about this. They think it's going to be screwing up their agenda. That article that might be in the tab still here. I just might have put them in the wrong order. Let's go to some quick fire news. An appeals court is going to hear the case of 3 ex-officers charged in George Floyd's death. The Minnesota Court of Appeals will hear oral arguments on Thursday on whether the 3 former Minneapolis police officers charged in George Floyd's death should face an additional count of aiding and abetting third-degree murder. They're trying to up the charges on these 3 officers too. Thomas Lane, Jay King, and To Tao are scheduled to face trial next March on charges of aiding and abetting second-degree murder and manslaughter. However, prosecutors want to add the 3rd charge following a ruling in February. The panel made up of 3 judges has 90 days to decide based on the February opinion and ruling of the case of former officer Derek Chauvin. It is possible the judges could rule in favor of the state to send the case back to the lower court to add another charge. So... again, they want their pound of flesh, and these guys are going to be the fall guys. I'm still saying on a couple of those charges, there's enough reasonable doubt to find them not guilty. And like I said, my opinion is the 3rd charge, the manslaughter charge, based on what I watched of the trial and the witnesses and things, seem very legit and probably beyond a reasonable doubt. The other 2, I'm still saying there's some issues. Anyway, here's some good news. Finally, the Pentagon announces the ending of National Guard deployment at the U.S. Capitol. They're finally getting them out of there. I don't know what the fences and stuff are down yet, but they're actually going to get rid of these people because they've been there for how long? They were worried about what? It was, oh, good God. The spontaneous riot. Oh, I'm sorry. The selfie insurrection. Anyway, the Department of Defense confirmed Wednesday that the overwhelmingly unnecessary National Guard mission at the Capitol will come to an end this Sunday. During a briefing, the Pentagon spokesman John Kirby said the deployment is expected to wrap up on May 23rd. We have received no request to extend it, he said, referring to the mass deployment around the Capitol in Washington, D.C. following the January 6th riot. And good. They should have been gone. I was going to say weeks ago, but I would say minimum 2 months ago. Let's see what's next here. The dirty little secret of anti-Asian violence and why the left stopped talking about it. I think we all know why they stopped talking about it. Unfortunately, they found there was just too many video and evidence that it wasn't the right demographic that they wanted to put the blame on, and they wanted to put the blame on a certain guy with funny hair that a vast majority of the people in a certain demographic that was committing some of these crimes probably didn't have any association with, and it just was turning into a big here, let me give you it became one of these. It wasn't helping their narrative. The white supremacy, Trumpist narrative. So anyway, it's time to bid farewell to MSM coverage of anti-Asian violence. It was juicy while it lasted. The race baiters and the lefty media saw what they thought was an opportunity to bash Donald Trump yet again by trying to link anti-Asian hate crimes to the former president's use of the phrase China virus.
China is asshole.
In regards to Stupid 19, the liberal news rushed and gushed to suggest Trump's words had stirred up a bunch of white supremacists in MAGA hats driving pickup trucks and huge Dixie flags all the way from Georgia to San Francisco for the thrill of punching an elderly Asian woman. Yee-haw! But the bad news for CNN, it turns out most of the attacks are not committed by toothless goobers, but by people of a certain, of my personal fellow melanated peoples. Some folks are just aren't comfortable talking about that inconvenient truth, and that's not new. In fact, it goes to this survey that found in 2008, 85% of strong-arm robberies against Asian women were committed by the brothers, and so on and so forth. So it wasn't fitting their narrative. And the video evidence, every time they tried to bring one of these stories up, it didn't work out the way they wanted. And so now you're not going to hear much more about it. So it is what it is. Let's see. This story. This is, could it be a criminal offense or impeachable offense? I don't know. Former FBI director Louis Freeh had some emails to Hunter Biden that were recovered from his abandoned laptop that revealed that while Joe Biden was vice president, a trust for his grandchildren, the children of his late son Beau Biden, received $100,000 from a foundation controlled by former FBI director Louis Freeh. Remember him? I think he was under the Obama administration. He was the FBI director, right? Well, he was a lawyer for three foreign corrupt business. He was a lawyer for three corrupt foreign businessmen, later convicted and imprisoned. In the email, it is revealed that Freeh actually met with the sitting vice president in 2016 to quote, to explore with him some future work options, end quote, in addition to courting his son Hunter for collaboration. You remember Hunter, who was making big bucks in Ukraine and China back way then? Well, here it is. The 71-year-old who served as FBI director under Bill Clinton and George Bush, Clinton and Bush, ran a consultancy firm with a highly controversial clients, including now jailed Malaysian prime minister who stole billions of dollars from his country, a Romanian real estate tycoon convicted of bribery, and a French-Israeli diamond magnate later convicted of bribery and a $145 million property graft. Freeh, the former judge, emailed Joe Biden Joe's son, Hunter Biden, in 2016, revealing he had spoken with the vice president and proposed they work together on private ventures once Biden left office. In July that year, in an email marked confidential and privileged, Free wrote to Hunter that he would be delighted to do future work with you. I also spoke to Dad a few weeks ago, and I would like to explore with him some future work options, Free said. I believe that working together on these and other legal matters would be of value, fun, and rewarding. Free brought up the idea again a month later and mentioned that he was working with then Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak, who was in the midst of a scandal over one of the world's biggest financial frauds and was later sentenced to 12 years in prison in 2020. He said, I would like to talk with you and Dad about working together next year. And just happened to throw $100,000 into the family foundation of Joe Biden's deceased son's, wife's, children's trust. Just happened to throw just out of the blue, threw $100K into that. What a coincidence. It's just unfathomable. I don't know how that happened. I slipped and $100,000 fell out and right into your pockets, sort of. Oh, they are all corrupt motherfuckers. All right, good. Going to move on. And apparently Donald Trump's going to be holding some rallies again. I'm not sure what for, but you know, he is Donald Trump and he loves him some rallies in Florida, Georgia, Ohio, North Carolina. Oh, all seemingly sensitive political states. I wonder what this is for. Former President Donald Trump revealed Thursday that he will hold campaign-style rallies in 4 battleground states in the coming weeks. Speculation swirls that he'll mount another bid for the White House in 2024. Relatively soon, we'll be doing one in Florida, and we're going to do one in Ohio, and we're going to do one in Georgia. We're going to do one in North Carolina. We'll be announcing them very soon over the next week or two. And I think we'll probably start in Florida and Ohio, and we'll be announcing rallies very shortly. Okay, that's not a very good Trump imitation, but you know, is he going to run? Okay, question for the chat. Yes or no? No, we'll put a 1 in the chat if you think he's going to run. Put a 2 in the chat if you don't think he's going to run. No other numbers. Check your logic. 1 or 2. 1, yes, he's going to run. 2, he's not going to run. Moving on. Also, but here's the thing. Right now, if it was Donald Trump versus Kamala Harris, voters favor Donald Trump over Kamala. I think voters favor a bottle of flaxseed oil over Kamala, to be honest with you. Anyway, McLaughlin and Associates poll found voters would support President Donald Trump over Vice President Kamala Harris in the 2024 general election should they both receive their party's nomination. Could this be foreshadowing? I don't think she can win the nomination. Joe's not going to run in 2024. The chances of it, I think finally Jill Biden's going to say, Daddy, it's time to hang up your cleats. Anyway, moving on. Netflix, Reed Hastings has, this guy, the Netflix dude, $3 million to a fund opposing Gavin Newsom's recall. And Netflix executive Reed Hastings on Thursday donated $3 million to a political action committee opposing the campaign to recall California Democrat. That ship has already sailed. That ship is not what it's. In fact, it's been out to sea and is back in the harbor coming after you, Gavin Newsom. It's gonna happen. Now, is he? They've got the signatures, so I'm just curious. Maybe he's just. It's a PAC opposing the recall. Why would you give it to him now when they've already achieved the signatures? I don't know. Anyway, the PAC is called Stop the Republican Recall. Well, if it was only Republicans in your state that are ready for Gavin Newsom to be a non-governor, they wouldn't have got this many signatures, and I don't think there'd be this much support for the recall election. But it's not just the Republicans. There's plenty of non-Republicans in California that said that Gavin Newsom should hit the sticks. So Good luck with that, Mr. Hastings, and your $3 million that you add. In a book by Barack Obama, this is a bad segue, but I'm going to keep going. Apparently, there's a new book that where Obama was calling Donald Trump, the guy with the funny hair, the former president, a racist, sexist pig, corrupt motherfucker, and so on and so forth. Had a lot of words about him. According to a new book, Obama called Trump a madman, a racist, sexist pig, and that fucking lunatic, another corrupt motherfucker. Edward Isaac Dover, a staff writer for The Atlantic, reports the remarks in his forthcoming book, quote, Battle for the Soul, inside Democrats' campaign to defeat Donald Trump. The Guardian obtained an advance copy, and Martin Pendley first reported Obama's remarks. So, former President Obama treads lightly when he's talking about Donald Trump. Three words. Pot, meat, kettle. And that's not because Obama's black or even half black. It's just corrupt motherfucker. Just you have a whole media complex that hides it for you there, Mr. Former President. I got a lot of headlines. I'm not even halfway through all these tabs today. So you're going to probably just have to check out the headlines. We're going to go rapid fire for the rest of the show because I'm running out of time. Nancy Pelosi says the honor system is not sufficient to believe someone is vaccinated. So she said that while explaining the dangers of being unvaccinated while serving as a member of the House, despite her mask wearing rules and vaccination, Pelosi rhetorically asked, what is the honor system? She continued, the honor system as to whether someone has been vaccinated. Do you want them breathing in your face on the strength of their honor? So she doesn't want to get rid of the mask mandate in the House. However, the same day, there's Nancy Pelosi seen on video hugging, chatting while maskless in a crowded White House room despite her own policy. So it's just like, Here's I don't even need the sound for this one. Oh, it is. There is sound on this one. Holy crap. See, I'm going to turn that sound down because it's too loud. So there she is talking to people without masks right after she said that. The same clothes. Although it's interesting. I don't know. So, and there's Warnock and there's Ted Lieu and look at, and what's his name? The Attorney General that they didn't make him a Supreme Court justice. Merrick Garland was there. All these people, no masks, all talking and chatting around. And palling around. Well, so much for that honor system. Oh my gosh. It says she tried to, and this is the same woman who wanted to try and fine Republicans for refusing to wear a mask mandate in the House chamber. And there she is. Do you see any mask on these people? Look at all these people walking around with no mask on. Is this just going looping over and over? Yeah. So hypocrisy as usual. Let's see. And now Representatives Gosar and Rosedale introduced resolution to end COVID-19 state of emergency. You realize we're still in a COVID-19 state of emergency in the United States, right? Well, they've finally introduced a resolution to end that state of emergency designation. Introduced an expedited joint resolution to end the ongoing COVID-19 national emergency. Former President Trump invoked the National Emergencies Act in March 2020, and President Joe Biden extended it in February. This resolution will force a vote in which Congress will decide whether or not to extend the emergency further. They need to just end that shit. Let's see. And then Fauci says we're going to need booster shots probably by September. You can read that article, but that's the headline is the story. And when people get out into the open and even though if they've been vaccinated, well, they have to still wear a double mask. And then after I say that I'm not going to wear a double mask, then the CDC will change the rules because I said something in an interview, because I do interviews every day, at least 3 times a day. I try to get in 5, but not everyone wants to talk to me. But, the reliable media does always talk to me. So when we have the mask on, it it doesn't really do anything, but I'm going to, pretend that it does, because even though fully vaccinated, people need to see me in a mask because it makes them think that they're better off if they're wearing the mask. So that's, hopefully that is what we're trying to say. Right here, baby. Right there. Resist fascism. Moving on. Unmasked. Oh, now in Oregon, the state of Oregon, they are going to require you to show proof of vaccination status in Oregon. This is going to the court. Yes, rooster shots, Logan F. Rooster shots. As of Wednesday, May 19th, the Oregon Health Authority requires businesses, employers, and religious institutions to enforce the mask mandate on individuals who have not received the COVID-19 vaccination. Now they say that you're going to have to show proof of vaccination. Individuals who have not received the vaccine, or individuals who do not have proof of receiving the vaccine, must continue to wear a mask inside Oregon establishments. According to the OHA's website, only those who are vaccinated may remove their mask. Really? Okay, so, but are the eating rules going to stay the same? Or are you going to have to put the mask on while you're eating and have maybe have those, someone was talking about having zippers, for those, that other kind of mask that has the zippers, and you know what? I might go to a store that has those big old leather masks with the zippers over your mouth and shit. Just wear that around and see how people think. That would be funny, wouldn't it? Just walk around wearing one of those masks. Anyway, I don't know if it is a violation of HIPAA, though. It's not someone else giving out your information, but it's requiring you to give your information. I think it's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous idea. But whatever. And also remember they had the lottery in Ohio, for people who got their stupid 19 stabs. Well, apparently 2 more states are joining out the lottery system. In fact, if you're here, Cannon Hotep just did a video about this today. Go check out Cannon Hotep's channel. Maryland Governor Larry Hogan announced a state contest where they're going to give out, let's see, how many citizens? They're going to, selected citizens could win $40,000 every day until the 4th of July, as in they have a new drawing for $40,000. And then at which point a final jackpot of $400,000 would be awarded just because you got the stab, right? And they said they had in Ohio, the stab rate went way up when the governor announced that they were going to do that. And now they're going to do some more, they're basically what do they call them? Test lab dummies? Not dummy, no. Test subjects. Everyone who wants to be a test subject is eligible to win up to $40,000 and maybe even $400,000. And then also they're going to do it in, I think, another state. In New York. Yeah. Andrew Cuomo's talking about doing it. He's offering free scratch-off tickets for the Mega Multiplier Lottery for people who get the stab. It's like, if you got to do that, there's something wrong. I'm sorry. That's just weird. Apparently 2 migrant facilities, notice that's what they're called now. They're not called cages or concentration camps, but 2 migrant facilities are being closed after alleged misconduct and unwanted hysterectomies. Are you fucking kidding me? This is the United States of America. What are we doing? The Biden administration will no longer use 2 immigration detention facilities that are currently facing accusations of misconduct, abuse, and even unwanted medical procedures, according to Fox News. The Carlos Carrero Immigration Detention Center in Bristol County, Massachusetts, and the Irwin County Detention Center in Osceola, Georgia, both run by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, are under investigation. The former held 7 migrants, with while the other held 114. Now, this probably didn't happen during the Biden administration, but it might have happened before. I heard of one of these stories before that. Good. Well, they're going to close those up. I think if you just sent people back to where they came from, if they're not here legally, that would do the trick, and we wouldn't even need these migrant detention facilities. Newsom. And then there's also, let's see. Oh, dude, this is the biggest Newsom loss you never heard about. Pastor An Che of Pasadena, California-based Harvest Rock Church must have felt special satisfaction upon reading these words in last week's decision issued by U.S. District Court Judge Jesus J. Bernal. Quote, the defendant shall pay plaintiffs the sum of $1,350,000 for plaintiff's reasonable attorney fees and costs necessarily incurred in this case pursuant to 28 U.S.C. 1961. Post-judgment interest shall begin to accrue 60 days from the date the court signs the final judgment. The defendant in this case is none other than California Governor Gavin Newsom. Harvest Rock was represented from beginning to end on a journey that included a huge victory in the U.S. Supreme Court by Matt Staver's Liberty Counsel. The awarding of attorney's fees is the icing on the cake of a freedom won by Staver and his colleagues in the courts against Newsom's repressive and anti-sans COVID-19 restrictions. The overall ruling represents the first permanent statewide injunctive relief in such cases anywhere in the country. So Harvest Rock's a church that Newsom has tried to shut down, and they won a Supreme Court victory over Newsom, and now $1.35 million to cover their attorney's fees. Oh, now granted that'll probably be paid by the state, not Newsom personally, but because it says, let's see, Newsom and his allies. Well, you guys can figure it out for the story, but still, good. That's a big L. The remaining stories that I'm not going to get to, media bias on how the AP got caught lying about Israel and terrorist Hamas. This story is related to the building that the Associated Press was housed in Gaza, and apparently one of their building mates was Hamas. And Hamas was firing rockets from the top of the building where the AP had offices, their Gaza offices, and then they pretended they didn't know that they were in the same building as Hamas. So when they got the warnings that the building was going to be fired upon because there was rockets being shot from the top of their building, they left, but then they just complained loudly that they didn't realize that there were rockets being fired from the top of the building, or that they were in a building where they were sharing with the international terrorists known as Hamas. So this gives you details of that story, and you'll be kind of chuckling under your breath. From the Federalist, also the media's speaking. This is obviously the First Amendment section of our show today. The media's COVID origin cover-up campaign has begun. Because see, they just don't want you to know where this stupid 19 came from. And I don't even know if I can read this story because it might be one of those other stories that YouTube doesn't allow you to have. But they're now that more people are admitting that it's possibly that came from that particular lab in the city of origin in the country that shall not be named. It's just not looking good for them, particularly the greatest physician in the entire planet and the foremost authority on everything stupid 19, Dr. Anthony Fauci. Chris. I wish I had time for this one. Maybe I might have to. I gotta do a catch-up show anyway because I gotta get my numbers right because a week from today, I'm doing my 600th episode. And so I probably do a bonus show tomorrow before the Trail Stop stream, which, of course, programming note, we will be doing another Trail Stop stream tomorrow morning. We don't have a special guest this time, but we might find someone interesting at the bar. But those are always fun and very random. And you get to hear Lady Boomer laugh a lot because I'm a pretty funny guy and I make her laugh. So anyway, the Chris Cuomo, though, had a big apology on CNN, I believe yesterday, about how he's, apparently didn't really, cover up anything about his brother and didn't want to, it was all chuckle and covering his brother when everything looked good in New York, at least when people were lying and say they did, because they never like to talk about the dead people that, the dead old people that were caused by Andrew Cuomo. But then he apologized for something because he's been apparently lying about stuff. Anyway, you can read the article yourself, but he had a big mea culpa on CNN. Instead of being fired, they allowed him to apologize, which is, I don't know, bullshit. New Yorker magazine. Oh, The New Yorker magazine. They posted an anti-Semitic tweet in solidarity with Palestinians. Now listen to this tweet and see if you know why it's an anti-Semitic tweet. So I'm not going to read the story. Here it is. This is the New Yorker Union. These are the union that at New York Magazine, right? Here's the tweet. Solidarity with Palestinians from the river to the sea who went on a 24-hour strike yesterday for dignity and liberation. Hashtag Palestine on strike. Who in the chat can tell me what the phrase when the Palestinians say from the river to the sea means? Somebody that I'm sure somebody is familiar with this phrase. Now, they deleted the tweet 3 hours later. We stand in solidarity. They posted this. We stand in solidarity with the Palestinians who went on strike for dignity and rights. We removed our original post, which used a phrase with connotations that distracted from our intended message of solidarity. Now, I'm sure somebody's answered it in the time in the lag, but here's the answer. The river to the sea is what the Palestinians and Hamas say. It means they're going to drive all the Jews from the river into the sea, as in genocide. Get rid of Israel. Yes, Grant, get rid of Israel. Yes, much of you or many of you are saying it in the chat now. By the way, Grant Sanford, how you doing? I don't know. That's a name I haven't seen before. You may have lurked here before. But anyway, anyone watching here today who hasn't been here before, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you get notifications when we rise. But we're here Monday through Friday, which I'll tell you about that at the end. Let me get to these last headlines and then I got to get out of here. Yeah. So anyway, they deleted the tweet and because people were telling them, you do realize you're in solidarity with genocide of the Israeli people, right? They like, oh, is that what that means? Oh my God, I can't believe we did. We're so sorry. We had no idea what it means. Wait a minute. Someone from New Yorker magazine didn't know what that meant.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier.
Right? All right. Let's the last few headlines to get to, and we're out of here. This guy. So, ladies and gentlemen, and Demi Lovato. Apparently, a radio host left his own show because he got scolded for criticizing Demi Lovato's announcement that she is now not. Or excuse me, is now that Demi Lovato is now non-binary, which doesn't mean anything, to be real with you. Anyway, a local Boston radio host walked off his show on his morning show Tuesday after management reportedly instructed him to ease up on criticism of singer Demi Lovato's non-binary identity. Matt Siegel of Maddie in the Morning of Boston's Kiss 108 told the audience, "I'm the biggest of all time," and they said, "Shut up, Matt. Stop talking." Well, I hope you're happy because I just stopped talking. Maddie out, biatch.
Gotcha, bitch.
Anyway, so he said, fuck it, I'm leaving, and we'll see what happens with that. Because, if you can't talk about shit, then why even be on the radio? I guess, or whatever. Good morning, Infamous One, Logan F., and somebody else was here. Let's see. Oh, South Carolina is now the 46th open carry state. That's all you need to know about that. They just signed the bill. Also, the only reason I put this one in here, Ted Cruz reacts to video comparing Russian military ad to woke emasculated U.S. Because so you can see the ad. The comparison is in this tweet, in this article. If you haven't seen it yet, you gotta watch it and you just gotta laugh. And when after you see the ad, the only thing I can think of is we're all going to die. If we ever get into a war, we're all going to die. Just saying. All right. And apparently, let's see. What's this one? So in Texas, they passed a law making it illegal for Child Protective Services to claim that normal childhood experiences constitute neglect. The bill covers more than kids playing alone. In fact, it covers many of the abuses CPS has been getting away with for years. The bill makes it illegal for the state to take children for the following reason: homeschooling, poverty, parents charged with a nonviolent crime, a parent providing TCH to child with a prescription, and declining immunizations for matters of conscience or religion, or allowing children to play unsupervised while engaged in normal childhood activities. That is definitely a victory for parents and also for homeschoolers, because they were actually, in some municipalities, were saying that homeschooling was child abuse, and they were, harassing parents. So the whole article is there. Also, this is where I was trying. Oh no, this is radical activist harasses, shouts profanities at Austin City Council member Mackenzie Kelly outside City Hall. I don't remember why I opened this one, but well, I guess you're gonna have to read it yourself and figure it out, because I can't even remember. I thought I opened a different article. That must be the one I was missing. Also from, if you haven't noticed, the consumer prices have outpaced Americans' wage growth as inflation surges. Remember how during the Trump administration, over the first 3 years of the Trump administration, hello King on Common Law, the first 3 years of the Trump administration, we had a lot of wage growth, right? And way more than we had during the prior 8 years. In fact, it was gone up great, and the inflation was pretty stable, and so wage growth and combined with low inflation means people had more money in their pockets. Well, now the inflation is again outpacing the wage growth as there's stagnation. And what do they call it during the Carter years? Stagflation. Look that one up. Stagflation. And then Psaki, you can watch this one. Psaki gets destroyed over Biden's pipeline hypocrisy. Remember, the Biden administration closing down the Keystone pipeline, and at the same time encouraging the the Nord Stream 2, the Russian pipeline through Europe. You'd almost think if Donald Trump, for example, had been in the pocket of Vladimir Putin, you would think this would be happening during the Trump administration, where the Keystone pipeline gets shut down and the Nord Stream pipeline gets built, right? And just making tons of money for Russia to move their oil through Europe into Germany and so on and so forth. But somehow the Trump administration kind of thwarted efforts by the Russians to move that pipeline, Nord Stream, getting built through Europe, and was, allowed the Keystone pipeline to go on and all these other pipelines. And it seems that this new administration benefits the Russians more than the supposedly Russian collusion administration. Fancy that. And put it in your pipe and smoke it. And in fact, Pete Buttigieg affirms that pipelines are just the best way to go. They're the safest way to transport oil, and they do their business for the United States of America, except just not the Keystone XL. Pete Buttigieg, President Joe Biden's transportation secretary, insisted Thursday that while testifying before the Senate Banking Committee, the administration's stance is that pipeline is the best way to go, just not the Keystone XL pipeline, which the president revoked, killing thousands of jobs during an inflationary period where people are, losing jobs and it costs more for everything. So anyway, that was some testimony before the Senate. You can check that out. And let me just skip through the headlines, and then my last final note is a heartwarming story where a picture speaks 1,000 words. Let's see. Federal judge sides with Biden, rules Christian college must allow biological men to share showers with women. Now this is fascinating. A private Christian college, a federal judge ruled Wednesday that students of the opposite biological sex must be allowed to share shower spaces and dorms at a Christian college in Missouri. Now, this is going to get struck the fuck down. But Judge Roseanne Ketchmark of the District Court of Western Missouri ruled against the College of the Ozark, a Christian college which had sued President Joe Biden's administration over its transgender discrimination policies. Lawyer representing the school said Wednesday evening the college had challenged Biden in his over his January 20th executive order, which prevented schools from denying children access to bathrooms of their choosing. Women shouldn't be forced to share private spaces, including showers and dorm rooms with males, and religious schools shouldn't be punished simply because of their beliefs about biological sex. Julie Marie Blake, senior counsel for the Alliance for Defending Freedom, told reporters following the ruling Wednesday evening, this is going to be appealed, and it's going to, I don't know if it'll go to the Supreme Court, but I got a feeling that it's going to get overturned through the appeals process. But it's interesting. And because they do receive federal, it's funny because they do receive federal funds in the form of student loans. So that's how they, apparently they're going to try to justify that. I got a feeling, that's the first time I've done that today. I've got a feeling that's going to be overturned. From the Federalist today, Biden aims to rehire Obama Title IX enforcer opposed to due process. Y'all know what that means, that any campus issues regarding unwanted action or alleged unwanted action, there will be no due process. I'm not even going to explain that. Let's just finish on a high note here, because I have an image that describes perfectly the problem with right now. So in the United States, a lot of businesses are having a real hard time finding people to work. It's an interesting problem because a lot of the people who are unemployed are gaining extra money through these, these stimulus programs where they get an extra, now it's $600. Is it $600? No, it's $300 a week. Even $300 a week right now. For some people, when they can decide whether they're going to stay on unemployment or if they can make the same money just staying home. And that was $600 a week before. I know my daughter got laid off. She's like, wow, I hope they don't call me back soon. I'm making more money than I did when I was working. But then she went back when they called her back, and she'd rather be working anyway because she can't stand sitting idly at home. But I digress. So there's a real struggle to find employees right now, and a lot of companies are struggling. But one company, they said, you know what? Hey, we're going to figure out a way to get employees to come back that meets our needs. And they just thought of a very, very interesting way to do it. And here you go. Here, this image speaks 1,000 words, because the shortage of workers is truly hitting everywhere. If you're just watching in the background, please look at your screen right now. Oh, how did this happen? How did this get moved over there? Let's fix this right now. Perfect 10, Cabaret Nightclub and Restaurant, now hiring 8s. And on that note, people, it's time for me to go. Thank you for joining me today on the Morning Night Live. If you haven't hit the like button yet, hit it right now before you go so you don't forget, and while I'm talking. And then also, just a reminder, we're here Monday through Friday, 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central, and currently 1500 GMT for people in other parts of the world. Please hit the like button, share the stream out. Also, if you want to be a sponsor of the show, you can do that in several ways. You can do the Streamlabs thing. You can do the YouTube Super Chats. So you have Venmo, Cashapp, all that information is in the description down below. I appreciate all the sponsors of the show. Also, if you're watching on replay, or even if you're not watching on replay, come back and drop a comment in the comment section on any part of the show that you liked or whatever. And also, I would help in the comment sections. Let me know if you like me touching on way more articles and not getting into so much detail. I'm trying to make it so that I have sections of themes that have lots of aspects of the same general story and just go in sections like that. It ends up being a lot of tabs in my or a lot of links in my description where we put all the stories that we touched on and put them in the description down below. Let me know if you like that. If I've just been doing that the last few days as kind of a test on what you guys like me to do. Also, if there's things you want me to cover that I'm not covering, I'm more than happy to cover it. Or, if you want, I'm trying to make more videos, but we've been embroiled in some legal matters that taken away from my video making time that now are kind of subsided. So hopefully that's good. Also, just a reminder, programming note, tomorrow we're doing a Trail Stop stream from the Trail Stop Tavern in Eagan, Minnesota, as we do on certain Saturdays, and we're doing another one tomorrow. So join me and Lady Boomer for just some random fun, and we talk to people, and it can be entertaining. Some of you hang around and think it's funny, so I hope you enjoy that. Anyway, that's it today, people. Time for me to go. My name is PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here. Bye. Hey, this is PDawgKnight, and thank you for watching today on the PDawgKnight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cashapp, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here.